Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Monday night, 8 p.m. can mean only one thing. It is the Online Darts Live Lounge, episode 214. Yes, 214. Myself, Phil Bars, and Dan Simpson here for the next couple of hours. Michael Bridge will be joining us around 8:30 to talk some darts. Dan, how are we doing, buddy?
Quite fine, mate, as you know. So generally, I do try where possible because I have to work away a lot, and I try to not be working away on a Monday. And the last couple of weeks, it hasn't quite worked out. So once again, the guitars aren't behind me. I'm not where I usually am. I'm currently in a famous brand of hotels where the theme is very purple. And after
made famous by Lenny.
Yeah, well, me and Lenny have had a bit of a fallout today because the Wi-Fi hasn't been up to par, the room key hasn't quite worked when I wanted to, and I had to have a very good, quite productive conversation with the hotel manager when she told me the only time they could fit me in for dinner was 8 p.m. I said, "Listen, have you never heard of the Live Lounge?
Like, Lenny, behave."
Yeah, Lenny's clearly he's not tuning into the Live Lounge, and that irritates me a great deal. But we made it. We made it with about 30 seconds to go. I managed to get, after horsing my tea in and getting sat down in my hotel room. The Wi-Fi is connected. Everything's working. Everything's plugged in that I think needs to be working. So yeah, we're away. We're away with the Monday night show.
Chat room is round. Malachi, Nicholas, how we doing? Bob is in. K-Days, Dale, how do? James, as always. Chris, Bob, Mark, good evening, my friend. Marcus, Shelty, how we doing? Red Viking is in. Wayne, how we doing? I tell you what, it is nice and busy already. And of course, it's the holidays as well. Raymond is in. The kids are on holiday. I'm no doubt causing chaos at homes up and down the land and all around.
Sounds like a Mrs. Simpson problem to me.
How we doing, Seamus? How we doing, Connor? Good to have you all in. Look, it's been a. How we doing, Ryan? Look, it's been a stressful day all round because we all know what today was. It was the first sale day of the World Championship tickets, and already doesn't seem like there is a lot left. I know they only released 2,000 per session. To start with for the PDC TV members. However, they went rather quick by the look of it. I don't think these extra 4 days, 8 sessions, Dan, are going to make a lot of difference in the hunt to get tickets.
Well, I think the difficulty is and I've been talking to, so I don't know, you might be the same as me in that people who don't understand darts too well seem to think that if you have any involvement, even on the periphery of darts, you've got some sort of magical ticket wand that you can wave. So, you know, I keep hearing from people who want to talk, you know, is there anything that you can do? Is there anything? No. And in reality, no, we're in the same queue as every bugger else. And what I think, and from the conversations I've had with people about tickets, is the reason I don't think the extra tickets have reduced that stress level and the disappointment, or the potential for disappointment, is that lots of people want tickets for particular days. So there's loads of people that seem to want tickets for the 20th, loads of people. And of course, therefore, I think it becomes far less about how many sessions are available and how many tickets are available for the sessions that people want to get to. Because obviously people want, towards the weekend, obviously the Thursdays, the Fridays, the Saturday afternoon session, those double days are far, far more in demand. I had a quick look out of interest before the show to see what you could log on now and get tickets for. And if your threshold is, I just want to get tickets to a session of the World Championships, then you can log on now and get some tickets. There are tickets available right now. I mean, I don't suggest that you stop watching the show and do it. Use another device. Keep watching this, because this is far more important. But they are, obviously, the tickets are available. You can, if your threshold is just, I want to get to a session, then you can get a ticket. The challenge is, of course, that lots of people want tickets for particular sessions. They want to see, or they want to be able to get there on a weekend. They want to not have to take time off work. I was very interested to see that a lot of the afternoon sessions are sold out in the family area, where you have to have an under 18 with you, whilst the schools haven't broken up. So I think there's a lot of people having a cheeky day off school and college to get there, to get down to the Palace. But yeah, like I say, it's the extra sessions were never going to have a big impact on reducing the demand for particular days. Obviously, the days where people find it most convenient to get there, because you're still going to have loads of people wanting the same day. If your threshold is simply, I want to get there at some point, then, like I say, you can log on and get a ticket now.
Yeah, look, it's interesting, and I've got to say, I didn't see as many gripes on social media as last year, which is a good thing. But yeah, like you say, that there's this, that darts has never been so popular. Is the thing, and we're seeing that when this year every Premier League venue sold out the first time ever, and we're talking about huge arenas here. There's only 3,700 available at Ali Pali. We're talking 10, 12, 13,000 seat
rooms, aren't they?
Selling out. Then you know you're doing something correct and right. And look, with the PDC membership, there's always going to be people that don't use it. I paid for my PDC membership since day one. I could have logged on and got tickets, but that's not for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm going to be there anyway. So there are obviously members that use PDC TV just to watch darts. They're not interested in those tickets and part of it that you have to some people sign on for.
It's also the PDC TV subscription. My understanding is it's a global service. If you're an expat, if you live in Dubai, if you live in one of the countries with an affiliate tour, if you live anywhere like that, then you are, and you just want to watch the Pro Tours. A lot of people just want to watch all the Pro Tour events, and obviously that, to a darts fan, is very important, because lots of people, and we found this out recently, at the match play. Whilst the World Championships is the biggest event of the year and there's a huge demand for tickets, there are lots of darts fans that maybe decide, once a year to spend some money on, let's be honest, not everybody's got the money to go to and travel away and stay in hotels for 5, 6, 7 events a year. And lots of them almost have a bit of a tradition of every year we go to the match play, or every year we go to the UK Open, and those people will continue to have those traditions. And there may be some that look at getting to the Palace, but yeah, it's not just a ticketing membership, is it? And I think there's some certain people view it like that, and I know that some people feel, rightly or wrongly, an entitlement. But again, like, what I would say to that is, it gets you an early access opportunity to buy tickets. And like I say, even now, if you just want to get a ticket for a session, 2, 3, 4 tickets for a session, you can log in and get them now. It's just that there are particular sessions that are in particular high demand, and that's always going to be the case for anything. I mean, let's be honest, that's the case for the match play. There are far more people that want to get a ticket for the Friday and Saturday night than there is the people that want to go on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. That's just how the world works, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And there's some good questions in the chat room on this as well. How are we doing, Jamie? Good to have you in. Warren's got his tickets, which is good.
Good on him.
Chris, they have to hold some tickets back for the free ballot. I think there's probably a law or something in there that's saying that you can't just sell to an exclusive audience.
Because then you make it.
Sure, but I'm pretty sure that there would be something in there that you can't just sell to an exclusive audience.
Yeah, you then make it a closed shop. You're then charging people a fee just to buy tickets. It stops being what we just said, where it's also a service where you can watch darts and things like that. The idea behind it is a benefit opportunity that it gives you if you are a darts TV or PDC TV subscriber. Whereas if you make it that all the tickets are available for those annual members, it's not that anymore. It just becomes a ticketing service.
Yeah. Jamie, it's in the west. Is it the West Wing or the West Hall, whatever it's called? It's the same layout as it's always been. That again, some of the new darts fans won't remember when the room actually used to be the other way. It was long ways. But again, a really good change. And I know the fast track system has been brought up that it's a money grab offer. Is it? Yes. Will people buy it? Yes, because on those sessions, it can be a pain in the ass to get in because you can only have so many people through the door at once. So will people buy that to skip? 100%. We see it at Alton Towers and
every airport. I was going to say,
someone will buy a fast pack so they haven't got a queue.
Correct. Virtually every facet of society where queuing is involved, somebody has produced a way to pay to jump that queue. Like every airport in the country, there's all sorts of ways in which people do it. Yeah, every single theme park, you got a Lego, and then you think of, I mean, Christ, if anyone's ever took a family to a theme park and you look at how much it costs to jump queues, like 11 quid actually feels like, I can't remember what it cost. Like we were in Legoland last year with the kids.
Is it per ride or just all day?
So again, there's like a menu. If you go to Legoland, there is literally a menu of queue jumping things, and you can like pay 30 quid for one ride, 50 quid for 3 rides, £75 for however, whatever. And of course, that's per person. You go with a family of 4, and Jesus Christ, that adds up quick.
Yeah, just for fast track.
Yeah, £11. And so the threshold I always use, right? I'm sure we said it about Summit when we were in Blackpool, is that if you were stood at the back of the queue and a bloke came and tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, mate, you want to just walk straight in that door? It's 11 quid though." If you think, all right, yeah, fair enough, then it's proven it's all right, isn't it?
To be fair, I do it at airports. I pay for fast track all the time.
Yeah.
No, I just to get through, I do it all the time. No, so Jamie, the room's the same as it was, but they moved it this way. I don't know how many years ago it was now, because they could get more in going across than they could long. So it'll be the same as it has been for the last 3 years, but so they moved it to get more in. However, when the tickets go on general sale, look, the remainder will sell out within minutes. Yeah. There's no question about that. And I genuinely believe that this is the last year of Ali Pali, because I don't think the Great Hall will be ready to move the event into. I don't think they can do it quick enough. It'll cost too much money for Alexandra Palace to make those repairs, to make it usable. I think this will be 3 years in the banks that it sells out in the blink of an eye. At that point, Ali Pali is no longer sustainable for the tournament. It's outgrown.
In terms of the chat room might help us with this, because they can generally give us a bit of a read on the view of various different people. But obviously there's lots of people that will say, like, it's a special venue, I love it there. Obviously the World Championships hasn't always been there, but there's lots of people that will say special venue, shouldn't move, love it there. But do you think the majority of people, the majority of fans that would buy a ticket, because also there's nothing more irritating than the people that insist it must stay there, but they've never been. Like they still think that they say, oh, it has to stay there. It's historic. I've never been. It sounds great, but I've never. Do you think the majority of people would happily accept it moving if the net result was that they've got a huge or a much greater opportunity at securing tickets to the sessions they want to go to?
I'm really torn between this, because Alexandra Palace is part of the draw, and I genuinely believe that. Ali Pali sat on top of Muswell Hill, looking out over the capital, the pilgrimage to the palace every year. I think a bit like Lakeside, where Lakeside is the selling point for the WDF World Championship, in my opinion. And I think Ali Pali also has a huge part of that selling point for the World Championships. Is it the be-all and end-all? No, because the product is that good. it will move and it will continue to sell out. But I also think that it does have a pull because of the iconicness of the venue, how long it's been there, what's been in there before, and so on. But I am of the opinion that at some point, everything outgrows where it is. I think the match play is very, very close to outgrowing the Winter Gardens, if not already. Do I ever want to, personally, do I ever want it to leave the Winter Gardens? Absolutely not. But you've seen it firsthand. You can't get any more in there. It is at bursting point with the standing arena.
Yeah, and that is, and it really is on the very wire, isn't it? Because it's tight. Even, there is a case to be made that it's not at times especially comfortable. If you're right in the middle of that room, in the middle of the ballroom, yes, it's gorgeous. You look up, you look around, and the atmosphere is amazing, but it's not comfortable for large parts. And I do think sports moving much further towards offering a more comfortable, more premium experience for people when they go, especially because the price of tickets keeps going up and you've got to justify it. It will be incredibly sad. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think there's probably another, because I think the PDC are going to end up basically having their hand forced with Alexandra Palace, and I think you don't want to do too much too soon. You don't want to change too much in too short a time. I think if you change Alexandra Palace, you almost buy yourself another few years at the match play, because you have created, whilst everyone loves the match play and everyone loves that venue, you have created a lot more opportunities for people to buy tickets to a very sought after major, we'll come to that in a bit, major event in darts. And I think it buys you a few more years. But yeah, the Winter Gardens as well is right on the wire, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. There's a couple of good points in the chat room. Someone says it's the last year of Paddy Power 2. It's the last year of the current deal. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's like saying it's the last year of Newcastle wearing black and white. Like, don't you worry, that shirt sponsor will be renewed and it'll still be black and white. And I think we'll still be seeing plenty of green wherever we have played.
Big Johnny, I agree to a point, but I think darts is now, look, the litter effect will wear off to a point, but I genuinely think it's gone past the threshold where it will drop back to where it is. Do you know what I mean? Like there's thresholds that you tick, and I think darts has gone through that threshold where it won't drop below a certain level again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but yes, I agree. And I think once we see, and I know it's a little bit time off, but once we see the Premier League tickets go on sale again, and they will sell out every single venue immediately before they've announced the lineup, like the 100%. Once you do that, and you've then done that back to back, and you've done it 2 years in a row, you've sort of proven that is a sustainable level. And a lot of the time, and we speak to a lot of people about the growth of darts, and especially when it comes to people tuning in and watching, because let's be honest, we talk about people tuning in and watching this, and how the numbers go up and develop. And I think every conversation is not even about whether or not we've reached the peak and whether it's going to plateau and potentially drop off. Is that every sign across the board on every metric you can measure is that it will continue to go up. There's really nothing at all anywhere that's indicated that it's even going to slow down. Never mind decrease.
I like this one from Matador, to be fair. If the world moves, then I would love to see the World Masters go to Ali Pali. And get rid of Milton Keynes. That is something I can fully get behind.
That is a tremendous idea, and I think it would line up very well with what they've done recently with that tournament. And they've had a bit of a relaunch of it, and they've had a bit of a rebrand of it. And I think we will, and again, I suppose we will come to this later, but I think you immediately elevate that tournament right up to the top tier of majors. Hey, that's it. But I do think that if you take that move and you say, well, we've got this format, it's a ranked tournament, and it's played in this venue, it's a hard argument to make that it's not a really important tournament. Very difficult.
Yeah, I think the snooker's on straight after Ali Pali. The Masters isn't until the end of January, so I think you'd be fine. But I love that idea.
Great idea. I love that idea. Yeah, well done, mate.
Yeah, that's thing. But yeah, in terms of what Johnny said, in 3 or 4 years it goes back. I don't think it does. It's almost like, I'm going to use your club, Newcastle, because I remember when St James's Park was only 34,000, or us at Spurs when White Hart Lane was only 36,000. That once you expand the capacity and it sells out, you don't drop back down. Do you know what I mean? Because
absolutely not. No. I mean, Newcastle's not a great example because, well, I suppose we are, because, you know, we ended up getting relegated and we sold 52,000 tickets in the Championship, which is rather impressive. But yeah, I know, I agree. You know, once you've hit that capacity, unless something absolutely catastrophic goes on, and again, you know, darts it's not like a football team where, you know, they can be relegated or they can, you know, it's not going to go. And again, all of the signs that we see, and I don't right across the board, even in the players, like even with the players. So people worry for some. I mean, let's be honest. There was conversations a few years ago, like, let's be honest, you know, pre both Lukes really hitting their stride. You know, there were conversations where, you know, we were saying, well, you know, can darts sustain the level that it's at, you know, at the time, because we saw, you know, Peter Wright nearing the end of his career, Gary Anderson nearing the end of his career, other players, you know, who were towards the end of very big and storied careers. And whilst we're seeing big resurgences from some at the top end of the game, James Wade in particular, who's been around for a long time, it cannot be argued that the standard of darts people are going to get to watch is going to continue to go up, because we can see the level of talent that is developing outside of the top 10, outside of the top 16, including what's in there, that, you know, you are going to see. You know, we talked the other day or last week about that semi-final between Luke Littler and Josh Rock, and we said, well, that's a match that we're going to see over and over and over again. And we're going to see it at the back end of tournaments. We're going to see that match as a quarterfinal, semi-final, and final for years to come. Well, if you watch that semi-final, people are going to continue watching that. People are going to continue to tune in. And it's just going to get better as more and more younger players, you know, put themselves into that mix with those players.
Look, 100%. Jacob, good to have you, mate. Don't worry about being late. But again, look, we see so many young kids now playing because of this Littler effect, that these are all going to come through as well. That we've said it before, that darts has been labelled this old man sport for so long. Not anymore. Not with the amount of kids now playing. Even if that tails off by 10%, there's still more kids than we've ever seen playing darts, where academies are putting extra days on because they can't cope and so on. So even if it does decrease, it's still going to be bigger than it's ever been because of the amount of people in the system now.
The profile of fans as well. I mean, you know, this is just a guess from, but you know, 9 days of that match play tournament and being in the venue every day, as you were, and you go in and you have a look at the people in there and you walk around it. And I've been going to the match play for quite a few years now, and I am absolutely convinced, and I won't have it said otherwise, that the average age of people in that room is coming down. The average age of people going to watch that, and that is especially not just Premier League, because we've already talked about Premier League. You know, we know that the Premier League crowd is getting younger, but at a tournament that is like an annual tradition for lots of people. You know, very traditional tournament in a traditional venue, that crowd, the average age of the crowd, I am convinced is reducing. I saw more younger people, teenagers, kids even, than I've ever seen in that venue before.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I agree that the viewing figures will drop when Littler leaves the stage. But I agree with Chris's point as well, that that 60% is still bigger than it's ever been. So numbers are on the rise massively, is the thing, which is only a good thing. And I can see our guest has arrived. So let's do. Where are we? I'll find me right little bit here.
I'm glad you're on it.
Yeah. Right. Let's do this, and on the other side of this, the one and only Mr. Michael Bridge will be with us. Here he is, Sky Sports. Michael Bridge is in the house. Bridgie.
You all right, boys? Good evening.
How are you?
All right.
Very well, very well. How are you both?
All good, mate. All good. Great to have you on for the first time, making your debut on the Live Lounge.
It's an honour. It's an honour. Thank you for having me.
Look, for those that don't know, Bridgie still works and does a great job for Sky Sports. Started off as a reporter and now presents as well. Bridgie, master of everything.
Well, I've been at Sky 17 years. So, yeah, it's been a long time. Predominantly doing the football, currently doing the football transfers. Not as much darts on Sky at the moment, but still doing bits and bobs. Hopefully I'll be doing some stuff at Ali Pali. Still doing some stuff for the PDC, Harrows. So yeah, I'm still well in, Phil.
Still well in there. Look, you've seen, as you say, Sky 17 years. You've seen a lot. We're talking about the growth of darts. Have you been blown away what it's been like in the last 18 months?
I mean, it's been. You kind of feel proud. Darts has always been my favourite. I'm too invested in football, in my football team, to call it a sport. So darts is my favourite sport. And I was into darts. We'll go right at the very start. I was walking down a road with my dad, 6 years of age, and there was a dartboard hanging up in this guy's garage. I got talking to him, and we used to call him the dartboard man. And when I was 8, they were moving, and he gave me that dartboard. So I'd always watched the Lakeside when I was from 7, 8 years of age, and I've just been stuck on and glued to darts ever since. So I think, it's just obviously with Luke Littler, we have to say it. It's just blown out of, Madison Square Garden. Some of them are now traveling to Australia today. It is unbelievable. You go there week after week, Barzy, in the Premier League, full up. Glasgow, Liverpool, Berlin, just makes you proud. It genuinely does. It's incredible, and it's the sports that has never been in such a strong place, and it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, look, 100%. And look, from a broadcasting point of view, the darts fans obviously knew how good Luke was as this kid coming through, smashing up the JDC. When did he really come onto Sky's radar, and we're like, hang on a minute, this isn't just a darts player. This is a potential sports star, not just in the darting arena?
Well, the funny thing was, obviously, I got to watch him on Moda's Super Series. Obviously, there was strong whispers about him a couple of years before that. But then with Sky, really, it was just, 16. Just think of the age, 16. And I remember like Wayne Rooney, Everton, 16. It's not like being in the in-betweeners here, but it was so marketable for Sky. And once Luke got over the opening rounds, it was a story. It got bigger. And I thought Luke handled himself with the media ever so well throughout the tournament. And I think people sometimes forgot he was still 16 years of age. He should have probably won that. It's just blown up. And what he's done as well, it's what he's doing for kids in academies and schools and, primary schools combining maths and darts. And that's what I love hearing more than anything at the moment. And it's not a domination of Luke and Luke Humphreys. We don't, because I thought the match play was probably the best match play I can remember. So it's not as if he's going to dominate. It's just great to watch. And his comebacks in all that week in Blackpool were great to watch. So look, as you know, boys, there's a lot of other Luke Littlers waiting, knocking on that door in a few years' time. So that Order of Merit in 5 years' time could look completely different. It's scary, the quality coming through at the moment.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And again, from your side, you've seen the World Championship grow and so on. 128 at Alexandra Palace this year. We were talking about it before you come on, that it almost feels like this is almost it for Alexandra Palace. That I remember when it moved from the Circus Tavern to the Ali Palace, everyone was like, stupid move. It'll never work. Look where we are now. I genuinely think because of the growth, we're on the cusp of maybe this is it.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, obviously, we've got extended days there as well, haven't we? So, you don't want to move it into somewhere too much bigger because you lose that kind of warmth about what Alexandra Palace is. So I think it's a really tough decision they're going to have to make. The Circus Tavern, it was time to go. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I still like going there for some seniors events. Apparently, it's the last time I went there, it did fine, but that serves a purpose for the seniors. But for look, I want to keep it Alexandra Palace for as long as possible, and I'm biased because I live in North London.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I don't share the same view at the other end of the country.
No. This is the thing. So, okay, let's flip it round. I wouldn't want it in Saudi Arabia. Okay,
100%.
There might be a Saudi Arabia Masters down the line, but it needs to stay in a certain place. It's like I had the pleasure of presenting 9-ball pool. Now, if you did a tournament up in Glasgow and Blackpool, it would do very well. Like Blackpool, I love the match play. I know Barzi, how much you love the match play, and we always have a great week up there. That is the match play. You speak to all the tournament directors. That sounds like that will stay for a long, long time. I'd like to think that will stay the same for Ali Pali as well, because off the top of my head, I couldn't think of anywhere they could send it now. I'm not one for sending it to different places year after year. I like the thought of I'm going to Ali Pali.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But look, again, it's another positive conversation. I was looking at people earlier saying I'm in the queue for tickets. I'm like, what do you want me to do about it? I don't want, but I get it.
You said that at the beginning. Everybody you've ever met, you'll have had it the same as everyone you've ever met or come into contact with thinks you've got a magical ticket wand because you've appeared talking about darts somewhere.
I mean, people call like, hello, mate, how you doing? I haven't spoken to you for 6 years. Oh, things going all right? Yeah. By the way, have you got 6 on the 27th of December evening? So I mean, we all get a bit of that, but no, I think for now, Ali Pali, we're extending the days, we're extending the tournament. Ali Pali's great for now.
Yeah, look, 100%. Look, we're going into this place now, Brizzy. We've warmed you up. We go straight into things here at the Live Lounge. The Triple Crown.
Oh,
talk us through it.
Dude, mate. Oh my goodness! So I co-host the Love the Darts podcast with Emma Payton. It was a question that came up, and it's had 450,000 sort of views. I get it. It's but calm down. Some people have got to calm down. Like, blimey! Like, I do you know what? When we walked into the studio, it didn't even dawn on me to get an answer prepared. I was just like, the way I see it, I think. I get the non-Premier League argument. I really do. And it doesn't exist. I get that. I think what it is in a way with the Premier League, and I'm guilty of it and others are guilty of it, if someone has a good tournament or good Grand Prix, he's in the Premier League. He's in the Premier League. That's why I don't think it helps. And I'm trying to make sure I don't say those things. So like when I was watching Johnny Clayton the other night, he could be in the Premier League if he carries on. Stop going on about the Premier League. So there's part of that as well. So it's a difficult one, but I never thought in a million years. I mean, we've got so much going on in the world. Let's, the Triple Crown is not saying to like go bonkers about. Everyone's got an opinion on it. I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I've got to be honest, boys.
Yeah, that's cool.
There are people who find it deeply triggering, and I think the strongest opinion I can have on it is I quite enjoy triggering those people. Like I quite enjoy allowing that to come out of people, but it's going to continue, and as darts keeps growing, and as other tournament formats start to change and other tournaments come to the table, it's not gonna go away, and it's gonna become a bigger discussion.
The problem is the players don't help it, and everyone goes on about the Premier League being this exhibition and whatever, which I get. But if you ask most players that have either been left out of the Premier League or have never played in it, they would sell their soul, their non-throwing arm, or possibly even their wife or gran, just to have 1 year in the Premier League. That's the pull the Premier League has. Genuinely, players would sell their soul. And already they're talking about it. Josh Rock, Johnny Clayton, Mike the Decker, they're all, we're only in July, just gone into August, and they're all already talking about next year's Premier League.
Yeah.
That's the pull the Premier League has.
Because I love the Grand Prix, Double M. It's had some great stories over the years. Phil Taylor going out to Andy Calaby in round 1 when Taylor never lost the match. You got a Grand Slam where, does that need a revamp now? We had so many big names out last year. It was a weird one being around. I loved the BDO back in the day, but that's got good prize money. So how do you do it? Everyone's got an opinion. 3 majors in 1 year. I get the Premier League one though. Look, mate. We watch there's darts on every weekend. I can quite honestly be honest with you and say I don't watch the Premier League every Thursday. Who does? I mean, you have to for your job. Yeah. No. You have to for your job.
Yeah.
But we don't all watch every minute of the Premier League, and it is what it is, and it's been extremely successful.
I'm going to throw one in the mix here. The Triple Crown, as it is, if it's in the same year, we've got the Golden Crown.
And what's that?
Those three, the Premier League, the match play in the Premier League, but all in the same year.
Oh, right.
The Golden Crown.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah,
I genuinely, I won't name the player. It won't take a lot to work out because the club is that small, but I'm not going to name them. That they were on about getting, instead of a star, getting a crown like they do in snooker on their shirt because the club was so exclusive. And it was mainly to piss another player off because they weren't in there. But he was like, I was like, I might just do it for shits and giggles. Like, could you imagine if Littler and Humphreys rock up with a star and a crown on their shirt? Could you imagine the people it would trigger?
Yeah. Wow.
I think, well, everyone else would have to follow quickly, wouldn't they? It only takes one player to start that off, because as soon as one player does it, like you say, it's a small club, and the others are going to be thinking, hang on a minute, I need my recognition as well. I'm going to get down the printers and get myself sorted out.
Obviously, I know you touched on this as well, but this is from a broadcast point of view and the Bridgie the fan. Would you like to see the PDC come out and categorise their tournaments like we've got in other sports? So we know you've won X amount of world championships, you've won X amount of majors, X amount of premium events, or whatever they are. There might be two different answers from a broadcast point of view and a fan point of view.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, look, I just mentioned the Grand Slam is probably a good example. It's not called the World Grand Slam. It's called the Grand Slam of Darts, and that was created for the PDC's best to play the BDO's best. And that finished because the BDO, we know about this. But so would that be a premium event? But not, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but I'm not being funny, mate. Again, we're going back to people we know well, and we know they're always looking to change things. Are we always going to agree with everything they do? No, because that's not what life's like. You know, 100%. When we said there was going to be a major announcement in January, when the Masters news came out, I went, "Oh, get in," because I love the old Winmore Masters. But some people went, "Oh, is that it?" Like, you can't please everybody. You know, it's so when we are blessed with tournament after tournament after tournament, and then the players are, and you'll see the order of merit now where players now they want to skip a few tournaments. Good luck. But you're taking a risk. And, you know, you look at the Asp season. I thought he did ever so well in the Premier League. He's won a few Euro tours. But look at his order of merit ranking.
Well, that's one thing that I don't agree with. I don't think the 2-year cycle works anymore. Oh, looks like we've lost Bridgie. He's back. And your partner in crime is in the chat room. Mr. Chris Murphy is in. How are we doing? It's good to have you in, buddy. I'm saying that, I don't think the 2-year cycle works anymore because Nathan's ranking, he's now being punished for something where he was having a bit of a mare 2 years ago, where he's probably in the form of his life right now. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And it seems brutal, but it's going to be brutal for everyone, isn't it? So, I mean, we'll wait and see. But I mean, we are so blessed with tournaments after tournaments after tournaments, aren't we? So, I think that's just a major positive as well, isn't it? That's a real
100%.
positive. I mean, whether the PDC will now turn around and go, goodness me, I didn't think this would cause such a stir. Let's characterise them. We'll wait and see. I don't know, because, I mean, I still, of course, watch United TV, but when the UK Open was on Sky at the Reebok Stadium, we used to call it the FA Cup of darts. I mean, probably because we lost the FA Cup that year as well. But you know, when Barney had just come over, and there was a great shot of Dave Clark with Barney turning around, going, "Oh my goodness, this is incredible." You know, and it was just seeing all the boards all around together at the Reebok Stadium where it was held at the time. That was one of my favourite tournaments. Major
Reebok,
doesn't say well,
Reebok
but it is a major.
Reebok was so good. All in one room and so on, and you could like the main stage there, and you had a massive cheer over the left hand side when someone had upset someone. It was so good. And look, this is what I like, that you being the darts fan as well. Forget the Worlds. Have you got a favourite tournament or moment that you can remember so well? You go, that's my favourite.
I've always loved Blackpool. I think it's a really special tournament. You can feel it with the players. The fans are real dart fans. Funny enough, I went to the Dubai Masters about sort of over 10 years ago now. And then you think, well, that's not going to work outside, but that worked perfectly. Then I went to Hyde Park the other week, and that didn't work as well because the wind
not as good.
But no, look, there's not a time that goes by that when I'm in Ali Pali for an afternoon or evening session where there are times where I leave the venue and I say to myself, do you know what? I'm lucky because I'm seeing incredible darts, incredible people, you included, mate. And do you know what I must say as well, you know, in terms of the, you know, best moments, and, you know, I've had some great moments even working on darts and interviewing people and seeing Glenn Durrant win the Premier League. Yes, there was no crowd, but how much it meant to him behind the camera. He was so emotional, and, you know, just with footballers. So if I went to interview a footballer next week ahead of the new season, I'd have to speak to press officers and speak to the clubs, write my questions, and then someone would come back and go, can you leave that out? Can you leave that out? Can you leave? With darts players, as we all know, there's no filter. But it feels like a family in that sense, because it's also immediate. It's also honest. And, you know, I think all of us, you know, everyone watching this now, they're watching this because they love darts. They should be proud of the way this sport has come. And they should tell people when they talk about Ali Pali, sorry, mate, go and watch the Grand Prix in October. Go and watch the Grand Slam. Go and watch this, go and watch that. Darts is not just at Christmas. That's probably a little thing that bugs me. So I don't really have a favourite moment per se. I think the week where Taylor won the match play in his final match play was pretty unbelievable. Whether you like the guy personally, that was pretty unbelievable. Yeah. To stay on that standard. Yeah. You know, pleasure to have seen some 9 darters, but just the crowds in general, just of some spectacular finals. As I say, darts is in such a, and I have to say the most recent one for me, you know, Josh Rock against Luke Littler was an absolute classic, you know. So yeah, we're in a very, very good place. Very good place.
Carl from Darts Tracker is in. He's got Bridgie, one of the all-time, the Edward Folks. That was but again, it's little things like that you always remember is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, what a period that was. I mean, and said, because we had the fake crowd noise going around.
Yeah.
And a player came up to me and said, "You're putting booze on some players deliberately." I said, "Sorry? Can you tell your sound guys to stop putting booze on certain players?" I was like, "Mate, it's a looping track. It's a looping track." But those are things I'll never forget because I'm just flabbergasted.
The funniest one though, I remember that to change because they used the crowd noise from the Euro Tour, and obviously no one checked it. And Philip Brzezinski, our friend and colleague from PDC Europe, come running. It's like, you've got to get rid of that. That's they're basically chanting and swearing in German, and it's being piped out as fake crowd noise.
Goodness me.
That was so funny. Like Philip's like, no, this has got to go. But yeah, look, we just look at so much has gone on in the sport. People are asking, have you got a top 5? What's Michael Bridges' top 5 of all time?
What, dart players?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. To watch or as people?
Whatever you like. Whatever you like. Your top 5.
Right. Okay. So I think I know it's boring, but you've got to have Phil, because when I started working on Sky, he was winning everything, and I respected his work ethic. And there were some players I think could have done a bit more. So I'm going to have to put Phil in there. God, yeah, blimey, this really is live, isn't it? Because there's
we're live.
Yeah, that's why we get into so much trouble, because we never got any bloody thinking time. You're constantly on.
I mean, I've been told off before for being too pally with them. I mean, it's not my fault when Joe Cullen smacks you in the balls as you're about to come to me live on stage a few years ago.
I remember that.
I don't think that's really my fault. Too pally with them. I mean, as I say, I'm very close with Asp and Cullen and all those boys and Dobie. But in terms of top 5 players, I mean, I've got huge respect for Barney. I don't think enough's made of him retiring, winning his tour card, and still coming back and being in so many majors. So he'd be one for me. I think he played a massive part when he left the BDO to go to the PDC. His rivalry with Phil for a couple of years, I thought, was brilliant. It wasn't just at the Circus Tavern. He beat him, I think, in Las Vegas. He beat him in Bolton. So there's been some great games between them. So I'd have to put Barney in there. I never had the pleasure really of getting to know Eric Bristow that well, but anytime I've watched the documentary, I've been, it's anyone who's made a contribution to darts really. And anyone who's made a big contribution who has helped make this sport is what it is today. I'm a big fan of Luke Humphries on and off the hockey, because I think he's a credit to the sport. I think he carries himself extremely well. He always speaks well. I think he's a pleasure to be around. He'd be one as well I'd like to mention. So yeah, I mean, there's a number, aren't there? I can't give a 5 if I'm honest.
No,
I can't give a 5.
About being pally with them, and look, some of the nights outs that we've had with the players after exhibitions and things like that, the side of the players that we don't perhaps see enough on stage, that some of them have got such wicked sense of humour. You touched on Joe Cullen. When, not saying it because you're there, when you, Webby, and Joe Cullen and Johnny Clayton are together, I literally have tears rolling down my eyes.
Yeah, it's usually to my detriment. But But they're just normal people, and sometimes I think it takes them back. It's exploded, and what certain players have done for other players with their exhibitions and how big exhibitions have got, and we're going back to Luke Littler, fine. And when Luke Littler's there, and what he's done for the sport in terms of money in the players' exhibitions. So they've all contributed to where we are now in the PDC and in darts in general. Look at the Modus Super Series. You've got some really big names there. We're about to have a doubles event in Modus where you've got Steve Beaton and Adrian Lewis. That's not the PDC. That's incredible. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's just so great to be part of, and that's why if I want to take a bit of time away, I should really go on a holiday, not go to Trilogy nightclub in Blackpool for 4 nights in a row. But, you just feel at home with the people around there.
Do you think there's an honesty in that? And you mentioned and again, so I was in Blackpool this week, and I had a full week in the media room, in the press room, and it was the first time I'd done it. First time I've been to darts or to a PDC major. It's sort of in that, guys, and it shows you a different side to the players and their families and the people that we sort of loosely know and that you get to know a bit better. But as someone who does work across multiple sports, do you think there's an honesty that comes from those very successful darts players who appear to be very real people, as opposed to, say, footballers who have sort of grown in a very sterile environment through, a very rigid academy structure, who have, let's be honest, from 11, 12, 13-year-old, these kids have always known that one day they'd be interviewed by you. And a lot of darts players, it's almost, it's something they never expected. They didn't expect to be interviewed by somebody on Sky Sports. And do you think that brings an honesty to what comes through from the sport?
100%. And I'm not criticising football clubs or footballers. I understand that you have to adhere to certain. Covering darts, and when I did Eubank Ben the other week, boxing's unfiltered to an extent, but with the darts, they're just human beings. They're just, when I was walking with Bunting the other day, when he was walking to do an interview, Talk Sport, we were talking about Liverpool in the transfer window. When I go and see Dobie, we talk Newcastle. We're not talking really darts, but that's them. That's what they want to talk about. That's what makes them comfortable. So, and I must tell the guys here as well about Michael van Gerwen, because a lot gets said and written about him. He's the most gracious I've ever come across, where he's the only one who would ever do an interview. This has happened twice, where he'd lost a major semi or quarter final, and he spoke afterwards, particularly when he lost to Chizzy. I can't remember, Barzi. Was it 5-0, 5-1 or something? It was.
He got absolutely. Chizzy played the game of his life in 20
final, yeah. And someone said
behind closed doors. And Chisnell was just unplayable. Yeah,
Michael was disconsolate, but someone said, "Can you try and ask him to do an interview?" I went, "You haven't, you for real?" And he did. And people go, "Yes, so what?" But if you see Michael and how much it means to him, I think Michael's at a stage now in his life and career that if he won a pro tour, he'd probably get emotional. That's because it means everything to him. And you talk about players, and we talk about Littler, we talk about Humphries. If you get a ticket to any event and those green lights still go up, you're lucky. You still got one of the icons in this sport. And I think sometimes he has this weight on his shoulders. I must do well tonight for the PDC, for this, for him. That, but I must, we talk about players as well, like my favourites. I must give a mention to him as well, because people don't see that.
I agree. In exhibitions, he's up there with the very best, with the fans, and especially kids and so on. He is right up there with the elite of sport, the way he treats them and so on. It's so good. It's beyond belief. You touched on the football banter that you have. Obviously, your phone blows up at the best of times, but when Spurs don't go particularly well, like a lot of last season, who's the one that always messages you first from the players?
Well, I'm not being funny. Christmas last year, and he said, "I'd love to win this trophy just to ram one up Bridgie." I'm like, what have I got to do with it? What have I got to do with it? Bloody blimey. Yeah, I mean, and I heard Aspinall on the day of the Europa League final whack me on Talk Sport because he's United. But I mean, just go back to it. Like these are genuine lads. These are genuine guys who just want to talk to you about football, transfers, this and that. They don't really want to talk about their order of merit placings or anything like that when they're in the zone. They just want to feel a bit relaxed. So yeah.
Your phone book must be a fountain of contacts. Was there one in particular you felt starstruck when you got a message from them? Just being their mate.
A dart player.
Yeah, just being their mate.
I think about 7 or 8 years ago when I was doing more production sides of the Darts podcast, I think I text Michael van Gerwen, and then I got a reply. But if I look now, Michael, he's definitely changed his number, because I don't know if you can see it on the camera. That ain't Michael van Gerwen. So, yeah.
He's
This is July 2014. Hi, mate. It's Michael from Sky Sports. We'll get problem, mate. Okay. Then I text him a couple of years later on that number, and all of a sudden he's now got a suit on with hair. So he's obviously sold his phone. So yeah, that was something I always remember.
I love that. I love that a lot. Before we let you go, football this year, what are you expecting from, one, the Premier League in general, and two, our beloved Tottenham?
Well, we'll start on Tottenham. I mean, unfortunately, I think James Maddison suffered a serious knee injury again. So that's a major blow for the club, because they're looking for a number 10 before his injury. They now have to get one. It's essential. Clubs know they've got money because they tried to get Morgan Gibbs-White for 60 million quid. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough season for Thomas Frank. You know, you had the Europa League last year and Ange juggled. Then you could see that he put the league to one side. He ended up finishing fourth bottom. Can't do that in the Champions League. So I don't know where Spurs, and I like Thomas Frank a lot, by the way. In terms of the title race, I mean, I thought the Premier League in general was quite dull last year. The bottom three were down by February.
Yeah, agreed.
I'd like to think Sunderland, out of the three who've come up, will probably give it a better go than anyone. I think Granit Xhaka's a really inspired signing. I think Liverpool obviously are the favourites. Just because they've spent all this money, that doesn't make them like it's over already. I don't go along with that. I think they'll have added pressures. Yeah, so I think it'd be tighter. I think United will do a lot better because they've got no Europe. But yeah, it was a bit of a poor season last year, so I think it'll be better next season.
No, I completely agree. Half an hour with Michael Bridge has been absolutely superb. Bridgie, thank you so much for jumping on, especially when I know how busy you are with the transfer window and everything like that, buddy. So massively appreciate that, you coming on, mate, for your debut here. So thank you very much. I will see you Leicester for the Grand Prix.
You know it, Barzy. Pop World Leicester. Yeah.
Pop World Leicester. You know it. Everyone, the one and only Mr. Michael Bridge. Thank you very much, Bridgie.
Thanks, mate.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
I tell you what, I blooming love that. Something a bit different in the darting world and Sophia. That was quality from Bridgie.
Yeah, it's nice. We get a lot of we talk to a lot of players, don't we? You know, and even though we do a good job, I think, of getting some interesting and guests on and people that we find really interesting to talk to. But yeah, it's nice to get a different view of someone who's had some different experiences, seen the sport through a different lens, through a number of different lenses, through, you know, both professionally but as a fan as well. Yeah, really interesting, really good fun, that, mate. Well done, good booking.
Right now, what is a PDC major?
Right,
chat room. How we doing, Rob? Good to have you in, buddy. Right, what is a PDC major? First of all, do you, chat room, and you, Dan, do you want them categorized, or are you happy with the system and the way it is?
No. I would like to see, and I'll tell you what I think would simplify things as well, is I would like to see them almost tiered. And then within the tiers, I think the best way to do it is to sort of harmonize the prize money. So where you've got, say, 3 to 4 tournaments that sit on this tier of a pyramid, that's the prize money for them. And then for the next tier up, that's the prize money for them. And I think that then gives you a very, very, comfortable, very easy to understand structure about how important things are. I also think that it then makes the conversations a bit more interesting when it comes to things like the Premier League, where you can talk about someone who's won, two tier 2 tournaments and someone else has only won 1 tier 3 tournament, and we can start to have that debate a little bit. But yeah, I think that I would like a clearer, just a clearer understanding and a definition of what they are and what fits into what categories.
So my first question is, this is the chat room as well. Is the World Championship a major, or does the World Championship stand alone on its own? So do you have, say, 4 majors including the World Championship, or do you have the World Championship and 4 majors below it?
I think in the way that I described there, you would have a pyramid, of which the top tier of the pyramid, the very little pointy top of it, would have 1 tournament in it, which would be the World Championships. And then there's then a discussion to be had, and this is, I suppose, more in what how I think of it, is that you've got that one on the top of the pyramid, and then there's then a debate as to whether or not you have 2 or 3 on the next line down, and I suppose that the problem I've got is, it's not a problem, but I think one of the big discussion points is whether or not 2. So if you have a look at what is conventionally considered, and I don't mean like this is a debate, but like conventionally, there are 9 major titles, which is your World Championships, Match Play, Grand Prix, UK Open, Players Championship Finals, Grand Slam, Premier League, World Series Finals, and European Championship. Now, there are 2 of those that I think you could separate if you were on that line of thing. You could take out the Premier League if you were of that thinking, and you could take out the World Series Finals, because they exist in a very different capacity to everything else. Where you then tier those 7, but then, of course, as soon as you do that, there will be somebody that says, absolutely not, this one should be in, Premier League should be in. I have a bit of an issue with the World Series darts finals being considered among the others. I that's the one that gets me more than the Premier League. I'm far happier for the Premier League to be included than I am for the World Series finals to be in there.
So, are we having, like most other sports, are we going for 4 majors then? Is the majors capped at 4, and then underneath they are Premier Live events or Premier events, or?
Well, if you include the Premier League, if your thinking is you've got the Premier League in there, then I think you've got the World Championship plus 4. I think that's what you've got. I think you've got your top tier is the World Championship, and then you've got the Match Play, the Grand Prix, and the Slam. I think that's your grouping. If you include the Premier League in that, then it's another debate. And I know that some people will pull a face and they'll say UK Open, UK Open, UK Open. The difficulty with the UK Open is all those other tournaments that I mentioned there, they're all seeded, which means, to a degree, and I know the finals of the Premier League are, but you have to, it's impossible to get an easy route. It's impossible to get an easy route to win any of those tournaments. Whereas you can win the UK Open and play fucking nobody.
You can, but you could also have the most horrific route going.
Agreed. And therefore there are different UK Open wins. As we can look at 2 UK Open wins and think, Jesus, that was impressive. Or we can say, bloody hell, he's got away with murder there. But what we're looking at here is the tournament, not one person's particular run in it.
Controversially, I would not have the Grand Slam as a major.
Is that just because of where it sits currently?
Possibly.
If we'd have asked you that question 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Oh, my answer would have been different, 100%, yes.
And that's the thing. So it's if they came and revamped that tournament, we shuffled it around a little bit and looked at what that tournament is and looked like, I think put it back on the table.
I think the World Masters is creeping into my major category because of the revamp. And also, I think one that doesn't get mentioned enough and is very, very, very underrated is the European Championships.
I would agree that it's a very enjoyable
through the European Tour and so on. I think the European Championships is very underrated.
I think it's underrated in terms of how it's Yeah, with the way in which it's enjoyed, I think. Yeah, I think you're probably right. People don't look forward to it and talk about it. It doesn't get people talking. And also, and we've seen this in recent years, that when people have won that, and again, we talked about the UK Open, the routes that people have gone to win it and the way that they've performed and the people they've beat en route to the final, you look at it, you think, geez, that is a bloody good solid effort of winning a darts tournament. But it doesn't carry often that credibility of people being able to, walk around and brag about it, or people really holding it in high esteem.
Another one that I don't like the World Grand Prix. And mainly that's because of the scheduling in the format. I think it's too scheduled, or two sessions too short. I think trying to fit 8 games into the opening 2 days and that best of 3 set format for a major is absolute carnage. Hand on heart, us as media, the first 2 days, we barely see a game.
Yeah, it is, though, to me, like, and there is no secret that what I crave the most, more than anything else, is chaos. And that's why, day one of the UK Open is probably my favourite day in darts of the year. Q School bonkersness, like, I enjoy that. And the level of just madness that is involved in that ultra short format. I know from experience, having sat next to you in those media rooms and what you have to do while that's going on, it sounds like the worst you could it's like if somebody had said, let's construct a format to make it as hard as possible for the media. That's the format. That's the exact. It's almost like, let's design it to really, really put the media under pressure. That's the format. But I think as a fan sat in your chair at home or sat in the venue enjoying it, it's brilliant because of the chaos.
I don't doubt that. And yeah, look, my vision is slightly clouded now because of the job that we do. I don't disagree with that. I look at tournaments slightly different. So let's try and find our definitive list. We don't have to agree, but let's get. So are we saying 5 majors including the World Championships, or are we saying 4 including the World Championships?
The Premier League is a struggle, isn't it? Do you just have the Premier League in?
Oh, my Premier League is in mine, 100%.
I think, like, again, if I take it objectively and I don't worry about pissing people off, then I think I have the Premier League in. I look at the players that have been in the Premier League through the entirety of it running. And whether you think that you don't qualify for it or not, or whether you think it's in, regardless of what you agree with, in order to come through a schedule with that amount of games and to rise to the top to beat the level of competition that's in that, I think it cannot be disputed that is an absolutely monstrous achievement. That is arguably far better than having a good weekend in Minehead or something. A lot of those tournaments, you see, Phil, and you know this, a lot of those tournaments you can turn up and you can have a good weekend. And there's a lot of people won tournaments that they probably shouldn't have done. They just had a particularly good weekend. That is impossible to do with the Premier League. It's impossible. You've got to play very, very well against the best players in the world over and over and over again. Me personally, I think it's probably in there. So for me, it's the world's +4.
Right. So I am going mine. If we're doing that, the World Championship, the World Match Play, the Premier League, the UK Open, and right now, the European Championship, but the World Masters is close.
What do you think when you say the European but the world is close? What do you think the difference is? Like, what's the
fact that the Masters, we've only had 1 year of this format.
Yeah, you think it hasn't built the prestige back up again yet?
Not just yet.
I'll give you that.
But I think it's very close. Where I massively rate the European Championships. I genuinely do.
Do you think that the qualification process has an effect on it? Obviously, we know the qualification for the Masters was it top 24?
Top 24, and then there's an open qualifier.
And do you think the qualification process for the European Championship gives it that extra?
Yeah, because you've got to be in the top 32 of that European Tour Order of Merit.
That's it. You've got to consistently be qualified for European Tour and picking up wins when you get there.
Yeah.
Over a course of a year. That's
correct.
It's not something you can do on a good weekend. You can't have a good day and be at that tournament.
Correct. There's 14 European Tours this year, 15 next year. You can't be lucky to qualify for that.
Yeah. No, I'll give you that. That's whereas you can have a good day and get to the Masters, can you?
Yeah. That's mine. What are you going for?
I'm sort of digging my heels in, and because Worlds sits, like I said, little pyramid at the top, and then underneath it, Premier League. Definitely, Premier League, Match Play, and Grand Prix are 100% in there. You can argue all you want about the intricacies of how the draws work and things like that, but the fact that it's double in, double out, it's just got to be there for me. It's right at the top. The Slam is tough now, as it stands right now.
Yeah, and the qualifying criteria that we know it's going to change next year, but when you add so many like Gezi and that missing out last year, it's like, hang on a minute, I can't call this major when the best players in the world aren't there.
But it's on them that they weren't there, isn't it? It's their fault. They had all year to be there. They had a full year to get there, and it's their fault they didn't get there. And everybody else at the beginning of the year knew what the qualification process was and did it. So here's a curveball, right? The bread and butter of the sport that we do all year, for the whole year, the actual, bread and potatoes of how we get around the year of darts is the Players' Championship events. We play loads of them all the way through the year. So then, should the finals of that event, like in any other sport that has a tour format, if you think of tennis and you think of golf and you have the tour finals are big events. They're big events and people spend all year playing on the tour. So then the tour final, that's massive. It's a huge event. So should the Players' and is it that if the Players' Championship finals were on Sky, that we wouldn't even be thinking about it and we'd be saying, yeah, of course it is. That's in there because it's it's the final of what we do for the whole year. If we only do the Premier League for a few weeks and the final of that is considered big. So why isn't the final of the thing all year?
Yeah, look, I get it. I just not for me. The Players,
not having it. Tier 2.
Yeah.
Tier 2.
Tier 2.
Yeah, go on. But in that case, I'm going to keep, even for nostalgia, as people might not like it. I'm going to keep the Slam. My pyramid is the Worlds +4, and then the pyramid fans out to 5.
Well, look, we know the Slam qualifying criteria is changing next year. We know it's going to 48 players, and there's going to be 16 groups of 3. So that instantly says to me that the top 16 in the world are going to be in it. Whatever they deem the cutoff point is, the top 16 are going to be in it, and they will be your seeds in each group. And
I've got no problem with that.
I don't dislike that at all because I think although I think there's too much protection in certain events, for things like big TV majors, the top 16 have earned the right to be in them.
Yes, agreed.
But don't get me wrong, I don't agree with the Euro Tour changes still and so on. But for the big TV events like this, they've earned the right to be in it.
Yep. And if you don't do that, it then becomes very, very challenging to start to seed a tournament. And then and you then end up having a lot of debate about how to properly seed a tournament. And I think
as it stands, take Danny Noppert, for instance, this year. He hadn't qualified. He got through the qualifier, and then because he was number 8 in the world or whatever it was at that point, instantly become a seed. It's like, no, he's come through the qualifier.
Yeah.
He should be in the top of all the qualifiers.
And then you have somebody that should have been a seed because he qualified for it, who then wasn't a seed because of that, and it's bollocks. So I do think it removes all that debate and argument if you just say, well, yeah, the 16 are in, they've earned the right to be there, they hold that position, and therefore the seeding has become much more straightforward.
Correct. So your definitive list of well, I'll do mine: the Worlds, the Match Play, the Premier League, the UK Open, the European Championships.
I swap the UK Open and the European Championships for the Grand Prix and the Grand Slam.
I'm going to throw a curveball in here now. We've got the Triple Crown. We've got the Golden Crown if they win it in the same year.
Yeah.
Can we have I'd want to call it the Grand Slam, but we can't because there's already a tournament this year. But could we have one where if you win the World Championship, the World Masters, the World Match Play, and the World Grand Prix?
Well, it needs to mean something, especially if you do it in 1 year. I don't know what you would.
What can we call that accolade?
You can't see the Grand Slam is you haven't got that, you can't, and therefore it's so I keep thinking of words to put in front of slam, do golden and platinum, but I think the slam word is out in it. You can't have the slam. Do you do the something 5? I can't say the famous 5. It's a fucking Enid Blyton book. That's where my brain went there. The famous 5. No, the 5. The something 5.
The World Crown.
The what? Sorry.
The World Crown.
Yeah, but you can't have the World Crown. See, Philip, if you're going to have the European Championships in it. You can't be mixing up. You can't be having European events in and then saying it's a world event. You've done yourself out of that one. Something about I don't know. You could say it's the perfect.
This is what you're thinking now as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because I'm having to be creative. I'm normally good at things like that.
Yeah, the ultimate crown.
The ultimate crown I don't dislike because
it can't be the Golden Crown win because that's the one. The Golden Crown is if you win the
Triple Crown
match play within the Premier League in the same year.
Yeah,
that's the Golden Crown
in the same year.
The Jackson 5.
Oh yes, yeah, have that. I like that. Oh man,
I've got you thinking now, haven't I?
Man. I think you've got it. If it's 5, I like the idea of having the word 5 in it, like the something 5.
There's only 4 though, isn't there? So all 4 with the world in there, in the World Championship, the World Masters, the World Match Play, the World Grand Prix. If you win those 4, I think it should be called something.
Yeah. The
Jackson 4 had a redraw.
Oh man, the world. Oh, you've got me on another one now. I've got two lots of things in my head. I've got those top 5, and I've now got the 4 world ones. The world. You can't say the World Championships, the World Champion, because you're already a world champion. You could have the world. You could have the World Crown if you've got the 4 world events on. But then I think you're blending things that aren't as important as other stuff in there just to make a world something. I like the idea as just taking those 5 tier 1s into something.
What else do you think of that?
Something. Well, let's be honest, right? What it needs is it just so let's be. Here's another curveball, right? I'll tell you what I would do.
The filthy 4.
The filthy 4, can have that. I'll tell you what I would do, right? Is if I was in the PDC, I'd be reaching out to all of my commercial contacts and saying, come on then, guys, who's going to pay to name this? And you would end up with the something, like we've seen lots of other sports, you know, the something trophy, the something whatever. And let's be honest, you sell it to the highest bidder, won't it? You know, it'll be the Emirates, you know, the Emirates trophy. He's won the Emirates title or something like that. I'd sell it and make a load of money off it. That's what I'd do. You never end up, you know. It could be the Werner Ladder Slam, couldn't it? Like whoever's willing to come and put their money in their pocket. The Village Hotels trophy would probably be a new law if you've won all of those things. If you've achieved better than any, you achieve that achievement, and all of a sudden, you become the Village Hotels champion.
Right, I'm gonna have a bit of a whinge and a bit of a rant now.
Oh, good.
The useless DRA. Now, cases on the website. We have had no update for 2 years on the cases on the DRA website, which is ridiculous when we know players have been fined and so on because they've told us, they've said it on national radio and so on. So they can't update cases on websites when they've obviously been, we know they've been dealt with, yet they are quick enough to fire letters out for misdemeanors that happen at the World Match Play. I know that because I've been asked to give a statement of what I saw by one of the players.
Misdemeanors is trivializing matters, Philip.
Now, they're quick enough to fire those. So, player in question received his DRA letter the Tuesday. The Sunday was on the final. He had his DRA letter on the Tuesday. So, they are quick enough to fire letters out to players.
Correct.
Yet, 2 years on, it is fucking ridiculous how there is no case updates on that site.
I think it likens me. I've got a lot of suppliers that I deal with in my work life where they're incredibly quick to send me a fucking bill and not quite as quick to actually give me the, what I'm actually paying them for, what I actually want them to do. They more focused on doing the admin that gathers the revenue that they seek, and are they more interested in carrying out that admin to generate the revenue than they are in carrying out their business in a way that is transparent and fair and open and subject to scrutiny? And of course it is. Like it's wank, isn't it? Like it's and I don't know how. Obviously, that's one example of a function that they perform, whereby they are very, very much lacking in doing what they have committed to do, which is, so if you have a page on your website which provides updates on things, you've made a commitment to provide updates on things. Like on our website, there is a section where we post lots of darts news. If somebody goes on there and there's no darts news on there for the last 2 years, people would probably say that we haven't fulfilled what we set out to achieve. We haven't done what we told people we would do. We've got a page on our website that says darts news and there fucking isn't any. We've not done anything about it. And that's it. So the fact that the page exists is very much like, it's almost a piss take, isn't it? So they're almost trolling people at this point. Like, well, we're going to keep that there. We're going to keep reminding you all that we haven't updated it. They'd be better off taking it down and saying, by the way, we keep these private now.
Right. So the last update we received on a case was the 29th of the 5th, 2023, Gilbert van der Meyden, breach of tournament rules. Offence date was the 6th of the 5th. PDC Challenge Tour, rule 3.8, and he was fined £200 and given a formal warning.
Well, I mean, it's bollocks that, isn't it?
It's like they're quick enough to fire these charges out to players. Fucking do your admin shit and get everything up to date.
Yeah, and that really is. It's not a huge amount of. It's not a huge amount that they have to do in terms of that process. Is, you know, like everything has like a start point and an end point. Like, you know, the flow chart of dealing with something is relatively short. You know, that somebody breaches the rules in some way, whatever it is, on stage behavior, dress code, or even anti-doping even. Somebody breaches the rules, they investigate it, they then decide on a disciplinary action, suspension, fine, whatever, and then they either manage an appeal process and then report it.
Correct.
And it's for some reason that it's a very simple flowchart of very few things. And it's just that they
everything's up until the reporting it bit.
They forget about the bit at the end, yeah. It's very odd, and again, I mean, I just don't know how it's. But again, what it is this happens to all organisations who are ultimately not accountable to anybody. Like, who are they accountable to? Who sits above them to make sure that happens? Or nobody.
No, that's the issue.
Nobody. So what you are then reliant upon is the leadership within that organisation. Okay. Now, because you haven't got somebody above saying you have to do this. So you are relying on the leadership within that organisation who clearly haven't been doing it for the last God knows how many years. So don't expect it to change. And don't expect it to change at all unless somebody else or some other people end up in a position of responsibility within that organisation that decide it's going to do what it says it's going to do.
Yeah, 100%. It's a blooming joke.
Yeah, and what it does is it genuinely raises, like, the problem is as well, and I'm probably not going to go into detail here because I can't be arsed with it. But I had a conversation with somebody very, very well known very recently where I explained and still reiterate that with any organisation, when you don't publicly release information and you keep things very internalized, but lots of people have a vested interest in that organization, what happens is people raise often valid concerns about transparency and accountability, and the result of that is a lack of trust, because when you aren't communicating out with people, you allow people to draw their own conclusions, right? I've said it to people have called me out on things I've said on here, and I've said, right, well, fucking tell me then, make me understand better, do a better job of talking about things so that you don't leave yourself open to transparency issues and trust issues and things like that. Especially if you are the people who are there to hold other people to account and to enforce a code of conduct and then to apply sanctions. Like, if you aren't going to do that, then, like, for a number of things, first of all, it weakens the deterrent, right? So people should be, and I'm not talking here about calling someone a knobhead on stage or wearing the wrong colour shoes, right? These sort of infringements. But the bigger stuff, the betting stuff, the cheating stuff, the anti-doping, the more serious stuff, right? If you aren't very open and public about the way in which you're dealing with transgressions, then you weaken your deterrent, because people simply don't understand and don't recognize how swiftly and well you will enforce that code of conduct. It's also unclear. There's definitely been a policy change. 100% there's been a policy change, but it hasn't been communicated. Like, they don't publish a summary of the case. They don't indicate when no charges were brought. They don't explain the delays. They don't explain the backlog. If it's a resource issue, they don't explain it. Like, and again, I don't want to dwell on conversations that aren't relevant to this specifically, because it starts to blur the lines. But if you are suffering criticism, and the issue is a very simple one of we are under-resourced and we simply aren't able to do it. If you go out and start to have that conversation with people, people will, whilst they might not sympathise, they will start to understand. And they might then criticise you for not doing something about it and solving your resource issue. And, well, why haven't you done this and why haven't you done that? But at least there begins some sort of constructive dialogue. But that we've seen nothing, like nothing at all. It is highly, highly abnormal for a regulation authority in a sport as large as ours to have not reported anything for 2 years. Highly abnormal. And when you are in that situation, I don't think that you can be shocked, surprised, or think that people are unfairly out to get to you for raising concerns about transparency and accountability, and seeking, clarification and raising concerns, like I say, about that erosion of deterrent as well.
Yeah, 100%. Needs to be better. Like, the sport is growing and so on. Everyone is trying to do better. And at the moment, we've got a disciplinary body that is fucking shit.
Well, yeah, and again, there's little value in going it because it's so, like, because of everything I've already said, like it's irrelevant going into the detail of it, because sort of the answer is the same. But Paul references, and rightly so, that there are decisions and policies that differ from other, they have affiliations where policies differ. And I would suggest that if you haven't reported anything for 2 years, you probably haven't updated your policies either. And again, it's someone who in my professional life works for an organization that deals with rapid transformation of underperforming organizations, then generally these things are leadership issues, and you will rarely find something that's so dysfunctional in an organization's core where they don't report anything for 2 years. Yet they're also brilliant at keeping up to date all of their policies, because you probably find that it's just really slack and badly ran. So the fact that they're shit at that means they're shit across the board. And I would probably say I agree with Paul completely on his comment, but I think it's more just towards that the policies probably aren't aligned with other things, because no one's done a drop of work for a couple of years other than sending out fines.
100%. 100%. And it does my head in. Down under the World Series, we are going into the last 2 legs of the 2025 World Series. If you are on Instagram and so on, that you will see that the players are on their way to Sydney as we speak. Looking forward to the last 2, Dan, or glad when the World Series is done?
What's my view on the World Series? I enjoy all of the events. I don't think they're important. There's my. If I could put it into a sentence, right? Yeah. And this is exactly the same as I feel about all of them. Nothing particularly about Australia or anything like that. I have exactly the same view of all of them, including Madison Square Garden. Thoroughly enjoy them. Really like the events. I think it's very, very good when they happen in parts of the world that don't get to see the very best dart players as easily. So the fact that the folks over in Australia and New Zealand get to see the best dart players on the planet and get an opportunity to buy a ticket and go and watch the darts, I think is very, very good. We generally get treated to some fairly decent action beyond the first round, not always in the first round, but they're always very watchable. Do I think they're important in any way whatsoever to the bigger picture of darts? Absolutely not, which is why I think that the finals, again, it happens, and I am happy to watch it, and I'll enjoy watching it. But is it important in any way? Absolutely not. It's the least important darts on the television to me.
I'll just come back to that in a second. But whilst you were doing that, I just checked the WPBSA website, and I can tell you that on the 20th of the 1st, 2025, Mark Allen was fined for publicly criticising snooker parties in a TV interview and a live newspaper interview at the British Open, which happened in 2024, and he was fined £4,000, which 2,500 was suspended. So the snooker website's been updated.
Well, I mean,
and it's the same person that chairs it.
Is it really? Is it the
Correct.
same person that chairs it? Well,
that's why I went and checked. It's the same guy.
Well, that gives me even more of a problem, you see. Like, I think I have more of a problem with it knowing that. Because it leads to more questions, doesn't it? And that's not what you want if you are an organization like that. You want to have the minimum amount of questions being being able to be asked, the better. Like, you want it to be just very sort of clinical and sterile, and this is the rule. You've broken this rule. This is the penalty for breaking the rule. By the way, everyone, dickhead here broke the rule. Like that, and that is, it's so simplistic. There is a book of rules. There's a book of things you shouldn't do, and you just have to apply a very short framework of, like, did that person breach that rule? Yes, they did. Therefore, we do this, and then we tell everyone. It's beyond simplistic. Beyond simplistic.
Yeah, I was just double checking because I knew the same guy chaired them both.
Well, I had a very quick look at. I'll own up because because people do sometimes like to talk to me outside of this stream about things I say on it, and I did just have a quick flick through the members of the board, just wondering who might come and accost me next. Oh dear.
Right, going back to the actual World Series, the thing that annoys me is the best players, especially down under, are not playing in the events, when domestically the best Australian player is currently in Portsmouth. Didn't even try and qualify for it.
Yeah, I don't think you can do a lot about the regional qualifiers, I'm afraid.
No, I agree. But what I was coming on to is, what are we expecting from, especially Australian qualifiers, because they had a mare last year where it wasn't great from them.
If I'm honest, for the Australia event, I am expecting one Australian to win, but he's the lad that's not a qualifier. I'm expecting one Australian to win, and he's not one of the local qualifiers. I think Damon Hetter will probably do all right, but
yeah, but he's on the PDC side, isn't he? So
exactly, yeah. I don't think there's a win in there, mate. I know, we know that Haupai Puha has got a game in him on his day, but it's just it's very, very strong, isn't it? That it's a strong field. a particularly strong field. And I know people will point at the list and say, well, it could be stronger. There could be one player in instead of this one and that one instead of this one. But it's a very strong field. And I certainly for Australia, I can't see anything other than a clean sweep. New Zealand probably depends on the draw, but I think we could see Ben Robb get a victory depending on who he plays. But that would be my. I think regardless of the draw, I would be shocked if we saw one of the home nation players win a first round game in Australia. And I think in New Zealand, unfortunately, I think Ben Robb is probably carrying the weight of the continent on his shoulders for a victory there. And I think it depends on who he draws. There's potential. Ben Robb could win a match, but he probably needs to not bump into Gezi Price. Gezi, Littler, Humphrey. There are players there that can be got at. And if Ben Robb gets at one of them, then it could get interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, if he gets to Decker, don't get me wrong, on his day, Mike Decker can be incredible, but he can be got at as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And then obviously
Chris Dobie can be got at. There's no secret about what a big Chris Dobie fan I am. But Chris Dobie can be got at, and if Ben Robb turns up, especially if Ben Robb hits his doubles, then Dobie's going to have to turn up to play if that's the draw.
Yeah, 100%. And then, of course, all eyes on the World Series finals, that huge TV major that takes place in... Oh, sorry.
Boring. Boring.
The amateur game was in full swing over the weekend. First of all, well done to the ADC. I thought their social media presence was incredible at the weekend. Did I watch any of it? No. Did I keep up to date with it on social media? Did I feel as if I knew what was going on? 100%. Yeah. I thought they did an incredible job over the weekend of keeping the darts fan up to speed with what was going on.
Yeah, I think they did a smashing job, the team, of, like you say, keeping everybody up to date, allowing people to feel like they were able to follow it. Again, at that level as well, there is a lot of interest. People do it because they actually know the players playing. These are people who they have played with.
Names there.
There was, but as well as that, these are players who have friends and family, players that play on county teams with them and players that have played all over, and just general interest in how these players are getting on, and the fact that they made it so accessible and so well reported. I think it was really, really good and a very good sign of things to come, because it's only going to continue, and I think it also makes it far more likely that people will want to get involved with them. When there is a choice of where you can play darts and what events you can go and do, I think knowing that you can go and play in that environment, in that format, and be able to say to all your friends and family, this is how you can follow me playing this stuff, I think it will help push people towards their events as well. So I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, Rob, you couldn't watch it, but next year there will be at least one streaming board at the ADC Tour events going forward. You
could follow it on Darts Atlas, couldn't you?
Follow it on Darts Atlas and the updates on Twitter. But next year there will be a streaming board at their floor events. So again, making strides going forward. Now, the other side of it, and by the way, this isn't a dig at the WDF as an organisation. This is a dig at a tournament that had their ranking points on. The Antwerp at the weekend, again, didn't have time to watch it, but trying to keep up with information from Antwerp was like trying to find rocking horse shit. It was non-existent. In the end, they posted the winners, but that was like an hour and a half after all the Dutch outlets had posted that Jimmy Van Schie and Aileen de Graaf had won, obviously, because they were obviously the Dutch winners. But again, nothing on Dart Connect or anything like that.
Well, I think we were relying on people in the venue to still put it on
updates. And by all accounts, players were going mad. There were no practice boards at all. People were waiting between 2 and 3 hours between games with no practice boards.
Ooh. I mean, yeah, that's not good. It's not good at all, is it?
No, where at tournaments like this, there should be social updates. Get it on Darts Connect.
It's not the thing with this is, Phil, right? Is it's not. These are things that most of the world was figuring out. And I say this, you know, we had a laugh when we were in Blackpool, like, because we start talking about, you know, I'm doing bits for social content and things for the channel, and I'm having to say to you, oh shit, Phil, I ain't got Instagram, I haven't got TikTok, I don't have it, but I think it's been understood by most people for quite a long time that this is the sort of, you know, you do need to have a social presence, and you do need, if you are running tournaments, to be able to communicate that out with the world and tell 100%. People what's going on. This isn't all, you know, Facebook and Twitter. These aren't things that have been invented in the last 18 months. Like, this is stuff that's been, it's almost boring that we're having this conversation again, isn't it? Because and I just think, well, how has nobody like that? I mean, you've got to be able to find someone to even volunteer. Like, there will be volunteers. Like, there are people across the world doing sports journalism degrees who are being hounded by their tutors to get some work experience. Like, and all it is these organisations to just have a little bit about them to go out into the world and try and find you know, some fairly simple solutions to really, really improve the way that their organisation is perceived and looked upon by the wider world.
No, 100. And I know some people have commented on there. Yeah, Nick did do an interview with another outlet. There's a couple of reasons for that, I think. One, the owner of Tungsten Tales also owns part of the WDF commercial arm.
That'll do it.
So it was obviously kept.
That'll do it.
It was kept in. And I don't know what was said beforehand, whether Nick vetted questions or whatever, but he wasn't pushed on a lot of things for me. It was more this is good. Do you know what I mean? It was more, it felt.
It was a piece of promotional media.
Correct.
It was not a grilling. It almost should have had #ad next to it when it was put out.
Yeah. And look, I would love to do a sit down with Nick, and I'm not looking to catch him out or anything like that. There are a lot of questions that I'd like to ask him from a media point of view, and I'm sure there's a lot of things he'd like to tell me to fuck off with as well. But that's the way it is. That, do I think they've done some good things? Yes, I do, and I'll say that. But there's also some things that I think fans want answers to as well. And so on. But look, I'm still hopeful that we'll sit down with Nick. Because again, I want to give him a platform to tell people is the thing.
And again, it's like I said earlier on, and I've said it now across a number of different organisations. Like, if you don't open yourself up to scrutiny, and if you aren't transparent and communicate with the world, then you allow people the opportunity to draw their own conclusions and put 2 and 2 together and get 5. And you can be sat there saying, these bastards are at me again, and they're saying this and they're saying that, and really, well, that's very, very simple. That's put right, very simple. I've always, and I think, you know, we both agree on it. Anybody who ever takes exception to anything I've said on here, there is an open invite for them to join the show. An
100%.
open invite. Anybody at all that has an issue with anything I've said, and I am big enough and stupid enough, if they come on here and explain how I've got it wrong, I'll say, well, apologies, thanks for telling us. But I think the reason that people have been able to draw their own conclusions is a lack of, outward communication and a lack of transparency. Don't allow people to do it. Tell them what the situation is.
100%. Look, Paul, and that very much the same as the Gurney Price media ban. That's why we told the world straight away, look, we weren't allowed to ask questions. It was like, there it is. CDC weekend as always. First event was won by David Cameron. Excalibur doing his thing in event number 8. Event number 9. Again, have I pressed the wrong one? No, I think Cameron won event 9. Wait a minute. He won event 8. Have I pressed the wrong one? Just going through Dart Connect. Daryl Christie won the first event, beating Jacob Taylor in the final. Again, a name not too familiar with, but decent.
It was his first CDC title. And again, we've talked a lot about the depth of talent in the CDC and how exciting it is. People winning their first title is quite exciting because it grows that pool of people with the talent that is broad anyway, to get through and pick up pots, which is very exciting to see Daryl Christie win that. Yeah,
and then obviously Excalibur, David Cameron doing his thing. Then event number 10, of course, it wouldn't be a CDC weekend if Adam Savada and Stowe Bunce didn't make a final. Would it? Stowe Bunce averaging 97.88 over 13 legs, which is very, very good. Again, the Neon Nightmare and the Reaper doing their thing. And again, I have to say, congratulations to the team at the CDC. Again, I liked the social media coverage. I like the fact we could watch multiple boards and so on. I just think that they're smashing it at the moment.
Yeah, and we were quick. I was quick to go in 2-footed earlier on when about people's lack of understanding of the media in which they need to be using and the way that they need to be engaging with the world with their product. And I genuinely don't think that there is an organisation outside of the PDC who is doing it as well as the CDC are at the minute. I just think because it's not just the fact that we are getting that we can see streams and we can see good content and the social media is really good and the build-up's good, but they're also constantly looking at new ways to share their product with the world. That we've seen Anthony walking around venues and giving us tours of things and showing us what's behind the scenes and how things are setting up, and we've seen the direct your own watch along, so that when you're watching that stream board, or watching it back, you can become the director and you can choose your own camera angles. I just think it's just that extra level of innovation of bringing people in, and I think that the fact that they're doing it in a market where everybody should want darts to grow. Because even if you are sat in Teesside thinking, I want all the darts to be local and I want to be able to buy a ticket to it all, darts needs to grow in North America for everybody, because when it does, more money will come into darts, and the more money that comes into a sport, the better it will be. Simple as that.
100%. The only thing I will criticise, and it's not a criticism of them or anything like that, sadly the race for the top 3 at the moment, the top 3 have quite a big lead after this weekend. Adam Savada in position number 1, Stowe Bunce position number 2, and David Cameron in position number 3. Leonard Gates in 4, has already qualified for Alexandra Palace. So, look, the boys over in North America absolutely crushing it. On the Asian tour, Alexis Toilo has qualified for his second PDC World Championship. Look, did I see any of it? No. Sadly, at the moment, Manlot Lung has slipped out of the top 5, which look, he's still close enough to get it done. But at the moment, Manlot Lung and Lok Ling Lee will not be going back to Alexandra Palace. Toilo is there. Sayaki is second. Lawrence Alagan third. Paul Lim at the moment will be going back to Alexandra Palace. Now, Paul Lim, if that stays the same, will have a decision to make, because he wanted to go back to Lakeside again, having runner-up this year. But when Ali Pali's dangled in front of you, surely he picks the Palace.
It's easy to want to go to Lakeside when you haven't got an invite to the biggest Christmas party in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if I couldn't get tickets to the Lakes for the Alexandra Palace, I'd think about going to the Lakeside. I mean, and again, like James has just said it there, who's not excited about the potential of a Lim v Littler?
Yeah.
There's got to be, yes, whilst I think, you know, and it was, I enjoyed the run to the final Paul Lim had recently as much as the next Darts fan did. But would I happily sacrifice that to see him on in the Alexandra Palace stage again, especially knowing the potential matchups that we could see? Then give me that, please, and give me an awesome draw. That's what I want.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a busy time in the world of darts over the weekend. We can't grumble at what we've seen. 100%. It's good. I've got to say, I know the Super Series are announcing their pairings for the second international pairs that they're doing. I know all the excitement is around England because it's AD and Steve Beaton. However, I'm looking forward to seeing the Joker, John O'Shea and Conor Heenan play together.
Yeah,
that pair is exciting.
Yeah, we know.
And Spellman and Jason Brandon, after the everyone knows how I feel about Spellman as a player, and after the way Jason Brandon played at Madison Square Garden, I'm looking forward to Team USA as well.
Yeah, I just think it's a really nice event, isn't it? And yes, there's a bit of nostalgia in there. The fact that we get to see AD play and that's all very, very cool. But I like it. I thought the last event they did was really good. Very, very entertaining. Any event that's got John O'Shea in it is a win for me. Any chance I get to watch the Joker play is a good one. But yeah, I love it. Really, really nice event. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, 100%. It was good. Remember, everyone, we are on a 2-week summer holiday after today. Dan's got family commitments and the kids that isn't a Mrs. Simpson problem. He's going to have to do some Christmas. Don't worry, that's coming as well.
Yeah.
Some summer holiday.
I have to do some parenting at some point. I'm not home until Friday this week. I'm away until so I'm not home till Friday. So it's still Mrs. S for the rest of the week in the parenting chair.
But we will return after our summer hiatus on Monday, the 25th of August. Don't worry, we will keep you up to date on socials, but you'll still hear from us. Don't worry. Yes, I will be live for the World Series events. Don't worry about that as well. Keeping you up to date with absolutely everything. Question time. Go on then. We'll answer fire some questions in, and we'll do a quick 2-minute of Fergie time. But yeah, so yeah, I'd say we have a summer hiatus every year across the time. Who's winning in Australia? Oh, I think Josh Rock.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I I'm not going to argue at all.
I think Josh Rock wins one of the events.
Josh Rock wins one, Gezi Price wins another.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Don't know which way around it'll be, but it'll be that way.
Another pod with Mace will be either end of the month, beginning of September, but don't worry. I genuinely don't know where the worlds will go if it moves. But time will tell. Everyone, you guys have absolutely smashed it for us, as always. So make sure you drop us a like and subscribe. Remember, this will be available as an audio only in the morning, available from all good podcast providers. But I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson. We will see you all in 2 weeks' time, refreshed and ready to go.